What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, as you could probably already see by the screen, I'm doing a different type of video. I'm doing a video on the article between Togashi Yoshihiro and Ishida Sui. I am very, very excited to discuss this topic with all of you. I've already read this article, I have, but I want to go over this article with all of you and make a video on it because I know there's many of you out there that probably have yet to even hear about this, and I want to share it with all of you because after reading this article earlier today, it got me very excited just to see two of my favorite mangaka actually communicating. Now, regardless of, what I've said in the past, all that jokes and all that, I just really am happy to see these two talk with each other and actually sitting down having a conversation and exactly what happened with the, Hunter x Hunter spin-off, chapter about Hisoka. So I want to talk about all that in this video. Obviously, as you can see, you're just seeing the desktop screen. But before I begin reading this and all that and scrolling through it, discussing my thoughts on the different parts of this, article that was released and translated, thank you very much for the person that translated it. I will have the link in the description. You can check it for yourself if you want to read the article. But I want to thank Slick Boy for actually giving me the link in the first place on Twitter. If you want to check it out, it's on my Twitter. Thank you very much for giving me this link, this translated version of the article, like the interview between Togashi and Ishida. It means a lot. Thank you so much for sending it to me, and I can't wait to see the actual chapter of the Hisoka spinoff finally translated. When it's out, can't wait to read it because I'm definitely going to be doing a review on it. I have actually yet to look at the content in the chapter, to be honest. I have yet to actually look at the Hisoka spinoff chapter. It's already out. The entirety of the chapter is already out in Japanese, but I'm not going to look at it until it's translated. So anyways, let's dive into this article. So I'm going to read pretty much the entire thing to all of you, and I'm just going to discuss my viewpoint on it and just how funny it is. So here we go. Togashi Yoshihiro, Hunter x Hunter, x Ishida Sui, Tokyo Ghoul. Special talk and release of Ishida Sui's treasured Hisoka storyboard. So it's a storyboard. The first talk between Hunter x Hunter's Togashi Yoshihiro and Tokyo Ghoul's Ishida Sui is released through Shonen Jump Plus. And Ishida Sui has drawn a story about Hisoka. First, have a look at this epic discussion. So translation talk under the cut. P.S. Please let me know if you want me to translate the comment too. Please translate it. Please. I'd be very thankful if you translate it. Okay, so first let me outline how Ishida Sui came to visit Togashi at his workplace and speak with him. Togashi Yoshihiro here, after, he's going to be called 2. Okay, that's what Togashi's going to be going by. He says, yes. Formerly Ishida's Tokyo Ghoul Jack. If you've actually yet to see the anime OVA of Tokyo Ghoul Jack, I recommend you to go watch it. Or if you want to read the manga too, go read it. It's very good. It's a nice, good little, side story prequel before Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul. So let's see. Formerly Ishida's Tokyo Ghoul Jack was being serialized in Shonen Jump Plus, predecessor Shonen Jump Live. Since it had such a great response, Ishida was asked if he would be kind enough to draw another manga for Shonen Jump Plus. So, he was confronted by, Shonen Jump Plus to draw another manga. While discussing this, it came up that Ishida is a huge fan of Togashi's works. So it came up amongst the entire staff that Ishida really respects Togashi, loves what he does with his story, and it came up. And then he's especially fond of Hisoka. The editors were very curious about how a manga about Hisoka drawn by Ishida would turn out. And so this all began from there. So the entire reason this even began is because the staff found out that Ishida loves Togashi's work. It was found out, it was spread, I guess, amongst the entire staff, and they confront him, hey, you like Hisoka, you like Togashi, you look up to him like a senpai, so hey, why don't you, do a manga about Hisoka? It'd be very interesting. So, then you move on and says, but what would Togashi think of such a proposal? Last year, we confirmed his opinion through his editor, so Togashi's editor. He replied that he had no problem with it, and he was happy to receive the request. So, Togashi and Togashi's editor were completely fine with the request of what Ishida was trying to do. So automatically, this is a great honor for Ishida. He's probably very fucking excited hearing this. Hearing that, Ishida wanting to cherish the existing worldview of the series, expressed that if Togashi had any ideas about Hisoka's past or setting, he would like to hear about them first and expand his story from there. Togashi, however, asked Ishida to please draw Hisoka freely as you imagine him. So Togashi's like, here, I give you the will, you control Hisoka like you want. No matter what, you have full reign to do what you want with his character. That's probably an incredible honor, too, for Ishida. As a result, Ishida wound up having to endure more enthusiasm from the editors. So the editors, jumped on more like, holy shit, he's allowing you to do anything, so you can do anything you want. There's no restrictions. But since Togashi was kind enough to oblige him, and so he began work on this project alongside his serialization of Tokyo Ghoul. And now Ishida, with the finished storyboard, is visiting Togashi's workplace once again. So let's talk about this real quick. But since Togashi was kind enough to oblige him, and so he began to work on his project alongside his serialization. This right here. This is very honorable, because this is actually a very, very big chapter, one shot. I think it's 69 pages long. Some might not think that's big. It might not be. But you have to factor in how much work Ishida puts in on a yearly basis and even monthly basis. This is a man that did a draft, a big draft to the Route A anime that was thrown out by Studio Clown. They threw his fucking draft out and shitted on him. But he did this draft while doing his, weekly chapter update of, Tokyo Ghoul when it's being serialized and still being serialized. He wrote the draft, and he was working on the calendar that has so many fucking different pages and illustrations that he hand-drawn. He drew all of them and has so much symbolism and meaning to it towards the real series. He was doing all of that while also working on this Hisoka side-off, spin-off chapter. So Togashi, amongst all of his serialization, that's not the only thing you need to factor in. He was working on his weekly chapters, which are already ridiculous to begin with the quality of the story and characters, but on top of that, he worked on the calendar, he worked on the draft, he's worked on little mini illustrations on Twitter. He doesn't take breaks, he doesn't really go on hiatuses unless it's mandatory because holidays, and then on top of that, he does this too. So that dedication right there from Ishida is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. I just gotta compliment. I know you can't see my clap right now because all you see is the article, but, Ishida, man, you're a real dude. You are definitely a very good man for not giving up and continuously writing and drawing so much like you do. Okay. And now Ishida, with the finished storyboard, is visiting Togashi's workplace once again, so he goes to visit him. Ishida hereafter is going to be known as Ishii, okay, so to make it short. I made you wait a while since we began talking about this, until I could show you the finished storyboard. This is what Togashi says. No, you were also drawing your regular comic, so it couldn't be helped. I read the story, and it was really good. I didn't think it was going to be this long, so I was very surprised. Since this project began, I've had this storyboard in my head constantly, but internally, the bar kept getting higher, because I was going to show it to Togashi-sensei, whom I greatly respect. That right there, that's sweet. That's very sweet. I didn't want to show him anything poorly done, and I wanted to construct my own worldview within Hunter x Hunter, and so many other things I kept overthinking. It really hindered my progress. Laugh. I spent a whole year that way, taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So, the entirety of the year, a fucking year, he was working on this and thinking about how he can make this to the best of quality. That right there, that is just amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Since Hunter x Hunter is the kind of work which to a certain degree can accommodate any worldview, I really wouldn't mind if you had just freely created a setting. About the manuscript, though. This is drawn in a lot of detail. It's not like an underdrawing or a rough. Yes, I don't really draw this much. She admits, I don't really draw this much. That's a bullshit lie, Ishida. Come on. You do so much every fucking month. Let's just be real here. This is a story about Hisoka, but is Hisoka really your favorite character in Hunter x Hunter? So this is a question asked. That's right. When I was in junior high, the first manga I copied was of Hisoka. It was the scene where Hisoka is letting down his hair after a bath, after he has a battle in Heaven's Arena. And it was so cool, I just had to draw it. Togashi, he's like, it's true. I also like when a character with swept back hair lets it down. The scene was influenced by the main character in Shonan Bakuzo Zoku, who normally has a pompadour. He was so cool when he let his hair down, I decided I had to put it in my manga Yu Yu Hakusho. Yusuke is the same. So that's very interesting information we just found out. So Ishida really loved that scene, and he drew that scene of Hisoka putting his hair down and all that when he was in the bath. It's a very iconic scene, actually, for Hisoka. So that's cool how Ishida actually really liked that scene and he drew that. And then, how Togashi admits he really likes that type of stuff, too, when, people with a pompadour let their hair down. So Kuro from Hunter x Hunter also has a scene like that, doesn't he? So Togashi says, out of the characters in Tokyo Ghoul, I like Juzo the best. I like Hisoka too, and they're kind of similar. They're a bit crazy, like how they enjoy hurting themselves. I'll keep hurting him nicely in Hunter x Hunter as well. That right there, that is fucked. That is absolutely fucked, Togashi. Because of the latest chapter, this week's chapter of Hunter x Hunter, if I think majority of people have seen it if you read the manga. That right there, I'll keep hurting him nicely in Hunter x Hunter as well. That is fucked up. That's really fucked up. Channeling his inner Ishida. I mean, he's been around Ishida too long. I'm looking forward to it. Laugh. Since starting on this storyboard, I've drawn drafts I didn't end up liking. Even stuff I drew and immediately after thought, this is no good. In the midst of all that, I lost sight of what was fun about it. I was taking it too seriously, I think. I even told my editor, if this keeps up, I might not be able to make comics anymore. Now that right there, that line, that absolutely scared the shit out of me. I gotta be honest. That fucking scared the shit out of me. Because seeing this line from Ishida of all people, like, holy fuck. So he was thinking that hard about it. He was putting so much effort into this 69-page one-shot about Hisoka's past. He put so much effort to it, he actually came to the point where he didn't even want to make comics. For instance, Tokyo Ghoul even. That, holy shit. Hunter x Hunter really must be a damn stressful series for it to make Ishida, the man that makes some crazy-ass symbolism and meaning, for him, that man, to say he might not be able to make comics anymore. That's just crazy. And they said something like, to hear Ishida Sensei say that after coming into contact with Togashi Sensei's talent makes me happy. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck? His editors, fucking Ishida and Togashi's editors said this shit to him. What the fuck? Like, I'm serious. Like, what the absolute fuck? They said this to Ishida. Ishida walks up, okay? Like, just picture this in your head right now. Ishida walks up to the editors like, I don't know if I want to draw, comics, manga anymore. I'm getting stressed out. I don't want to do, Tokyo Ghoul anymore. This big hit series. I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel like I can do this calendar and stuff. And then the editors are like, you know what? It's very good to hear that. We're so good because you finally come into contact with Togashi Sensei's talent. Oh my god, that is fucking hilarious, because it's like, they're saying, oh, Togashi's passing on that hiatus status to you, that hiatusness that he normally does. I'm like, oh my god, I know it wasn't probably meant to be like that, it's probably more meaning behind it, but it's still so funny. And then, this is what Ishida continues on. I was like, what are you saying when I'm this upset? I think my editor appreciates me, but I really felt like I had no allies. So that's very sad. That's very sad Ishida felt like that. He's like, what are you saying when I'm this upset? So, I don't even know how to feel about this right now. Okay, that's just your editor's love. Probably. Laugh. Togashi says, it's true. The scariest state for a mangaka is when you can't remember why it's fun. That right there, I know probably Togashi has thought about that multiple times. Let's just be real here. Ishida, it really is. It felt like I was in a fog. I even started thinking it wasn't good for me as a mangaka to be making a derivative work out of Togashi Sensei's story. I really was overthinking. When you were thinking about the storyboard, you read over Hunter x Hunter a lot, didn't you? Kind of like how we act with, Tokyo Ghoul. We read Tokyo Ghoul over and over, too, to get an understanding. Ishida, I did. I marked all the pages Hisoka appears in. I tried to figure out a pattern in the suit marks in his lines. Now, that right there, that is so fucking hilarious. This line here from Ishida. He took note, like, of all the panels with Hisoka, okay? But this is just so funny, because Ishida in this moment, I'm gonna read further into this, but like I said, I've already read it. But Ishida in this entire moment, he is us. He is straight up us. He is us, the fan base. He is us trying to dive into Ishida's story, break it down, and figure out what the fuck is really going on here. Ishida, for one time, he understood the struggle of trying to understand what is going on with the story. And this is what Togashi says after he's like, I've been trying to figure out all the patterns and stuff you're doing in the series. Togashi's like, I'm just choosing those by intuition. Laugh. And then Ishida's like, you don't have any rules? Not really, just that Hisoka uses the heart with people he likes. I don't have any idea how Diamond and Clover are different. Like, what the fuck? I don't have an idea. Like, okay, let me explain why this is just so fucked up. What's fucked up about this is that Togashi, if you know, he uses Hisoka in a way to where Hisoka finishes a sentence and he uses different type of symbols from, cards. A heart symbol, clubs, diamond, whatever. He uses those type of symbols. And he's like, I don't have any idea how diamond and clover are different. That's what he says. And it's funny because Ishida's like, you don't have any rules? Because, Ishida obviously has rules with Tokyo Ghoul. He has these certain set rules he does with his characters. Because he has certain traits with him, like Kaneki scratching his chin. It's a pattern. Maybe, Hide, putting the little tick on his face. How he scratches the side of his cheek. So, it's kind of funny how she's like, you don't have any rules? And then he's like, when I analyzed it, I thought Diamond is often used when Hisoka is being serious. Clover gets used more when he is thinking something over. So Ishida, he broke down what Hisoka was doing in, like, the manga. He was like, I always thought Diamond was when he was being serious, and Clover was when, you know, he was thinking something over, really thinking about something. And that's kind of so funny because that's us. That's exactly us. The fandom of Tokyo Ghoul. That is fucking us. Ishida is being us. He's analyzing the damn chapters in the manga and looking at patterns. And when he's like, I always thought it was this, but then he comes to find out, Togashi's like, nope, I'm just doing it fucking random. I'm just doing it like that. Just like writing on paper. There you go. That is so funny because this proves one thing. This proves that Ishida writes his manga for us to dive into it like we do. That's one thing it does prove. So that is very interesting, getting the mindset of Ishida, that he does write his series to have patterns and rules. It's so fascinating. It's also fascinating how Togashi can write such a glorious series without really knowing. It's like intuition to him. See, look at this. Since I'm choosing within my intuition, it's possible that I'm unconsciously creating those patterns. So this right here, this is some godlike level writing. Like, it just goes to show you the talent of Togashi when it comes to his writing, because for him to even say this and make such a glorious series with so much meaning to it, like the Meruem versus Netero fight, all that meaning, it makes you really wonder, is he just writing this on the top of his head with intuition? Is he really not completely thinking everything out? Is he just writing as he goes along? And when he does, that's just crazy. Because, look, it just goes to show you the talent between these two. The two different mangaka here. Ishida is a man that loves calculating, you know, setting rules for himself when he writes. Togashi is a man that uses intuition for different things, and maybe that's what's creating those patterns. And what I find very ironic about this is the unconsciously creating those patterns. It reminds me of what Meruem said to Netero, your unconscious bias. That's exactly what this reminds me of. That's exactly what it does. So, you know, it's like Togashi's like, oh, it's just my unconscious bias writing the series like I do. It's not really me trying to do it. That's crazy. It's just talent right there. Anyways, Hisoka is a really mysterious character, so drawing him is really difficult. I was looking for hints in places like that. How much you can bring out his whimsy is very important. When I want him to do something the most is when he is least likely to move for me. It's easier just to step back and not think about anything. So we're getting an insight of Togashi's mind of how he writes. Like, look, let me read this again. How much you can bring out of his whimsy is very important. When I want to do something the most is when he is least likely to move for me. So Togashi is saying when he wants something to move, a character to move in this certain way, it doesn't move. It's like the story fights him back. It's easier just to step back and not think about anything. So he's like, I just go with my intuition. I just do what I think is right. Then he will move on his own. It's the same way right now in the main story. I just create the surroundings, the environment, battle setups, and leave Hisoka's movements up to Hisoka. Then his character will burst out for me. So he's saying he lets the characters drive the story, not Togashi. Togashi does not drive his series. It is the characters. He lets the characters decide with their personalities. That's beautiful, and that's talent too. I just gotta give my man Togashi. That's a very interesting viewpoint of how he writes. Ishida, you're right. I could see him bursting out with just my imagination. Laugh. But I kind of put on the brakes. Togashi's hinting at something. Oh, you did? Hisoka wanted to do more, but there were some places where I put on the brakes inside myself. I regret that a little bit. See how interesting that is? That's very interesting. So Togashi's admitting that he did put the brakes once and forced Hisoka not to move. Togashi-sensei, when writing your manga, are there times when you can't control your characters? Togashi says, I think manga is more interesting when the characters aren't under control. When I write manga, I first think of a rough outline, but when I actually write the characters, sometimes they say things that are completely different from the storyline I thought of, but I think, this line really fits them. And then I have to give up on the original story, but I think it's much more interesting when that happens. So Togashi's saying that he has actually probably rewritten his story multiple times for the series because of how a character acts. That, once again, just blows me away, because this probably explains a lot of the mindset of, you know, the Chimera Ant arc or previous arcs, with how Togashi was writing things, especially probably with Meruem. I wonder what type of mindset Togashi had when he was writing Meruem. That's something I'm very curious about for him to say something like this. Togashi-sensei, what impression do you have after reading Ishida Sensei's storyboard? At the end, Hisoka uses Dokikiri texture to transmute a handkerchief and hide the villain's face. But I had actually thought of using this technique later on in the main story, so I thought Ishida-san had a good sense for using Nin. This right here, I just quickly gotta say before I dive into it, this indirectly kind of spoils, I think, the outcome of the Kuroro versus the Hisoka fight, because he's saying that he wanted to use this right here for future fight against a villain. That's what he wants to use. So, he's complimenting Ishida that he knows how to use Nin properly. He knows how to use it, and it's very interesting. But he's also kind of spoiling us, like, oh, the fight is going to kind of go into Hisoka's favor. He's going to survive. So, that's kind of fucked up a little bit. That's messed up, Togashi. It's really interesting when different people have the same thought. That feels like such a fucking troll from Togashi right there. That feels like such a fucking troll. Because, yeah, I think majority of people know my little, you know, parody video I made of how Ishida is Togashi. I talked about it and all that. I put all this stuff together, and it's very funny. And this right here, just seeing Togashi says it's really interesting when different people have the same thought. I'm like, bro, you're fucking trolling me right now, Togashi. You're fucking trolling me. Like, bro. Also, I thought Ishida-san's villain was well done. Not just his character, but everyone inside Ishida-san's drawings has some good atmosphere. I think you get a sense of what manga he has read and what kinds of pictures he likes. But even his stern old men have a beauty to them. This isn't something you can achieve through hard work alone. His battle scenes also have a sense of speed, which is pretty cool. Thank you. Oh. At the beginning, there's a scene where Hisoka is lying on the ground. Did you leave the reason ambiguous on purpose, is what Togashi's asking. Yes. I specifically decided not to draw the background for the first scene. That really makes the readers think. Among the discarded drafts, I had ones which talked about Hisoka's childhood environment. Some where he was from a rich family, and some where he was poor. But I felt uneasy about that. Hisoka is a kind of character who doesn't talk about his past. And I think many fans of Hisoka, many fans, can actually agree with that right there. I felt like as soon as you bring that in, he stops being Hisoka. Togashi's like, that's true. Digging into a character's past is difficult. It's like, no matter what story you tell, it won't surpass the reader's imagination. This blows me away. This fucking blows me away, because that means the mangaka have actually thought about this. And it's funny because they're like, it's best to just leave it for the imagination, not to know everything that happens, just let you all fill in the blanks like you want. And that reminds me of how Ishida does his story. He does a lot of different ways where we have to fill in the blanks, and he doesn't explain shit. He's like, you have to imagine what really is going on there. Rather than making it clear, it's more fascinating to leave some things unknown. In Ishida-san's storyboard, it's fun to imagine why Hisoka is lying on the ground. I'm very glad that you wrote him like this. Ishida's like, Togashi-sensei, do you have an idea of Hisoka's past? I don't. Fuck it. He's a fucking manga. He doesn't even know Hisoka's past. I don't. That's why I try not to think about it. But now I'm thinking about one day be alright writing about a time in his past, just a little before Ishida-san's manga. Deciding how far back to go is difficult, though. I'm very interested in that. I think my mental age has stopped somewhere between the second year of junior high school and the second year of high school. Laugh. American system 8th to 11th grade. I think I'd like to write about Hisoka around that age. If I had wrote something set any earlier, I would have to talk about what kind of family he came from, what his parents are like. I think that would be explaining a little bit too much. That is just my own idea, but I can't really imagine Hisoka having a father. He doesn't seem to have any influence from a father. Now we're getting the mindset of Ishida. That's interesting. In the manga I've written so far, all the characters, including protagonists, have various family situations. That does kind of sound very similar. I mean, look at, Gon. Many of them have single parents. Even though both of my own parents are still alive and well, my family situation is pretty typical. Laugh. But when I write manga, it just comes out that way. Especially main characters or people I think I will have to draw for a long time. Of course, I think parents are just in the way when it comes to a manga story. So Togashi's pretty much saying, parents are in the fucking way. I don't want them in my story. That's true. I've also had times when I thought parents were in the way of a story. That is fucking Ishida saying that. I think we're getting some insight to why we haven't seen Kaneki's fucking father now, and maybe any more of his mother, or why any parental figure is not really around Kaneki. Now it's being kind of showcased in recent chapters, you know, with Arima and all that, but it's still funny how Ishida views this. He believes that parents do also get in the way of the story, and that's how he kind of thinks about sometimes when he's actually writing. So this might explain why Kaneki's father has never been shown. It's cool. It's very cool when you think about it like that. In Star Wars, the adults who raise the main characters get killed right away, and in Gundam, the story starts when the parents die and the protagonist must leave. Now, this right here, just a little side note, the automatic 10 out of 10 for Ishida, just for liking Star Wars and liking Gundam. That's just fucking amazing. He pretty much says, I'm a Star Wars fan and I'm a Gundam fan. Who would have known? I mean, I think that's reason enough to love Ishida even more. I've had the vague idea for a long time that there's also a kind of theory when writing a story that's better if the parents are gone. Yo! Boy! Fucking Ishida giving us little hints to his meaning. Let's see. Yeah, yes, that's because the parents in the story are only there to oppose what the protagonist does. For example, Gon in Hunter x Hunter would be the upper grades of elementary school in a real world. If he had good parents, they would never let him go on such a dangerous journey because, as we all know, Gon is pretty damn smart. He's a very intelligent boy if he had the proper upbringing. When you think about it like that, parents really are in the way. Laugh. So I thought it'd be better if he didn't have parents to begin with. Eventually, that became a story about searching for his parent, and then I decided on the concept of making his parent a really awful person. Damn. Fucking damn. I see. By the way, after reading Ishida-san's manga, I thought I would like to write a manga about Hisoka's past connecting to that first scene. I don't know when that would happen, though. Just shock from Ishida. That's quite an idea. After reading it, I really felt like I felt like connecting something to that opening. For instance, the panel to where Hisoka has a blank background behind him. If Ishida-san really has no idea what happened before Hisoka was lying on the ground, and if it'd be alright if I did whatever I wanted with it, I think I'd like to draw it. Also, I think I'd like to play around with the circus trope as well. I was worried about even making the storyboard, so to have Sensei speak that way about it, I'm honored. I'm really happy. Oh, that's so sweet. Don't expect too much. Laugh. If I ever draw it, I'll show it to you. And thus, a friendship between my two favorite mangakas were formed. Togashi and Ishida. Oh, it's so fucking sweet. So that is the actual interview between these two. So it's quite the long read. I think, how long has it been going? Oh my god, 28 fucking minutes. Holy shit. But yeah, that is the story between Togashi and Ishida, and the one-shot manga that has come out. Can't wait till it's translated. Gonna be fucking reviewing. I will be diving into it. It's just so crazy. Two of my favorite manga, my two favorite mangaka actually, besides Kentaro from Berserk, sat down, had a conversation. We all known that Ishida had this loving for Togashi. He loved Togashi's work. He loved Hunter x Hunter. And now seeing it, oh my god, dude, it's so awesome. It's fucking amazing. Like, super fanboy mode right now. But it's also even funnier how Ishida pretty much became us in this article. He was looking for hidden meaning, and then he realized that fucking Togashi's like, nah, I just go with my unconscious bias. There you go. So yeah, that's the end. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. And once again, thank you for the person that translated this. I'll leave the, link in the description. And once again, thank you also for Slickboy for, giving me the link to the article in the first place and making me aware of the translation. It means a lot. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.